He says
Or
the
else
stock
we're not
market
gonna have
will
time to
boom
talk about it.
if I'm elected. If he's elected, the stock market will crash.
Okay.
And the stock market reacts generally to political news, and the stock market watches the outcome of an election.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? So welcome back to the channel. So all last week and the weeks before the election, we've had to hear about what everybody is saying the stock market wants. And what you've heard most people say is, oh, the stock market wants, Trump to win. That's why it's going up. And then when it's going down, you've heard people say, well, the stock market is expecting Biden to win. That's why it's going down. Meanwhile, no one's asked the stock market how the stock market felt about any of that. So with things like these, I love to take it as a learning moment so that you can learn how to invest safely, learn how to invest without any stress, and just be able to learn how to be able to do the right investing for you and your family. So, but real quick, if you're new to this channel, hey, welcome. Pretty much on this channel, I like to talk about money, like to talk about investing, like to talk about how you can succeed financially no matter if you have money or you don't have money. On this channel, we're talking about how you can take your money and make it work for you. So here, we're not trying to tell you what to do. We're trying to show you how you can learn yourself and be able to be, self-reliant. And so that way that you can actually build your portfolios, you can build out your budgets, build out whatever it is that you're trying to do and be able to do that very successful for you and your family, depending on, whatever your situation is. So today is a great example of how you can learn from the recent news around the stock market. It's been a roller coaster. The main reason it's been a roller coaster is because everybody has been saying what the stock market wants and what the stock market will do, and the stock market really doesn't care too much. So now here's the thing. Over the weekend, you can see the futures are pointing up as we got news of the next president. You can see the futures pointing up. So a lot of people will make headlines, based off of that because they see what the stock market doing. But then last week, something totally different. Now, one of the things I want you to understand is that this is not a political video. Okay, now the other thing I want you to understand is that a lot of times this information can be damaging. And the reason is because people will make investments or sell investments based off of the news that they're constantly hearing, other people spew out online or on the media and things like that. Now, in my previous video, I talked about how in an election, it doesn't really necessarily matter when it concerns the stock market, unless you're trying to do some trades around the election. But here's the thing. The market has its own way of flowing, has its own way of, just moving. You can study the history, and what you'll find is that the one consistent thing that you'll find when you study over the history of the stock market is you'll find that it has consistently went up. Through time, it's just consistently went up. It's had its ups and downs, but it's just consistently went up, right? So if people say, well, the stock market isn't an accurate gauge of the economy, well, okay, fine. Well, one thing it is kind of an accurate gauge of is who we are as people, consumers, how things are changing. So one of the things that is happening right now with the stock market that a lot of people are having a hard time grasping, it's that we're just not in a pandemic, recession, and whatever else is going on out here. We're in the middle of a transition where things are changing. It's kind of like when things change from, like, let's say if you had a pager and all of a sudden cell phones come on the scene, and then people start liking cell phones. So then they start using more cell phones, and then you see pagers become obsolete. What we're seeing happening in our economy right now is that things are changing. So something like a pandemic doesn't do anything but put gasoline on the situation, because basically what's happening is you see things starting to grow faster in certain areas, and then you see it start to deteriorate faster in other areas. And some of the things that we've seen that have went away, or that was already on its last leg and it's completely gone, or they shut down their stores, many of those places will not be coming back. Now, this is more reference to like a lot of these major corporations, and as well as some small business, but more so when you see things like you see the things happening in retail and how a lot of retail stores have shut down. And a lot of people will say, well, retail is shutting down because of Amazon. That's why Amazon's killing the competition. Well, it's not so much that Amazon is killing the competition. It's just that stores never made the transition, like especially when it concerns online sales. A lot of stores never put in the proper work. They never took the proper time to actually put into, what they need to do in order to cater to this evolving online sales market. That has nothing to do with Amazon. That has all to do with them. It's like Blockbuster. Blockbuster chose not to get into, the whole kiosk thing. They chose not to invest in, like Netflix and into companies that were, talking about these downloads and online streaming, they decided it wasn't important to them. It wasn't Netflix's fault. It was Blockbuster's fault because Blockbuster didn't make the shift. So ultimately, that's what's happening in our economy is we're seeing things shift, not just in the US, but across the globe. When you have a pandemic, it heightens things and people start to find different ways that can be more efficient. Some people say it's healthy, and then some people argue and say that it's not healthy as well. It depends on how you look at it. But that's what's happening within our economy. We're having a shift. So that means we're getting away from some stuff and coming to some other things. So with that being said, that's why it's been very difficult for people to predict the stock market during this time. Because a lot of them are trying to go off of the wrong history. They're looking at the history of, what happened during this time and during that time. They're not looking at the history of what happened when, things shifted from one era to another. If you look through that, then you'll probably see more things happening. So one of the things that people are talking about, for example, is they think the whole tech thing, right? That it's a bubble and any day it's gonna pop and everything's gonna come crashing down. Well, I believe that we will have some more up and down days, but I don't think we'll see the tech industry come crashing down. Reason being is because us as consumers, we're using tech pretty much all the time now. So you see that reflection within the EV electric vehicle space. So you see that reflection when you see at online sales and things like that, you see those things starting to happen. So as much as people can say what the stock market likes, I don't think a lot of people know what the stock market likes because the stock market hasn't said a word. Now, I think the conscience of the stock market may be more so what we do as consumers and where there are different policies or there's money flowing to or different opportunities and things like that. But overall, how we live is a good reflection on, what's happening within the stock market. Because sometimes you'll say, well, why is this company up? Well, if you go to look and you do your research to see why some companies have thrived, then what you'll tie it back to is you'll end up tying it back to its usage or its function or how, important it is during a certain time. For example, like Zoom, for example, been around for years, but it's super important now, and Zoom meetings are happening all the time, or if it's anything like if you see Microsoft going on, well, most schools right now are using Microsoft to do a lot of their virtual learning. So the usage can cause, a lot of income, a lot of emphasis and all that stuff that can cause a company to, really skyrocket and go up. So a lot of times those things are directly connected with how we live and what's going on in the time and what's coming, whatever the case is, but it's just tracking simply, how we are living. Now, if anybody wants to argue that case, let me go back to pagers. Well, you find any good pager businesses that's blowing up right now? Probably not. Why? Because nobody wants pagers. Or most people don't want pagers. I'm sure some people out there that want as a novelty or something. But you get the drift what I'm saying. So the stock market doesn't really have, its own voice, but it kind of has more of an inner conscience. So when you hear people saying what the stock market wants, we really don't know. But what you can do is learn to pay attention to what's happening within our economy, what's happening within our own lives, looking at how you live, and then you'll be able to actually see some different things and be able to find some good investments. Anyways, but I thought that was funny. Everybody's always talking about, the stock market wants this, and the stock market is over there minding its own business. Nevertheless, if you're looking to invest or you're looking for the right brokerage account or whatnot, be sure to check out the links in the description. I have some there that you may like, that you might want to check out, that are pretty cool and even great for beginners. So you check those out. You can actually get some free stock from some of them. All right, everyone. I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Be sure to like and subscribe. Peace out.